So I've had a few days off, so I've decided to get back into making and working on some of the maps I had started earlier in the season. One of the areas that I had started working on was the high point of Italy, the Gran Paradiso, because having guided there the first time I went there, I remember really being surprised by the quality of the map or the lack of the quality. So I have a Google image here, and I've been outlining some of the glaciers. I'm going to change that Google image into a layer that I built, an orange layer. And you'll note here I have a bunch of layers. So these are layers that I built, and I've been able to import them into CalTopo, which you'll see gives me some interesting ability. One is this scrolling. So this is hill shading. I made orange contours because the orange contours seem to pop up pretty good, particularly when I slope shade it. And this is the slope shading for angle. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and it takes just a minute for my layers to load. They'll start to clear up here. I also made black contours, so they darken the contours quite a bit. So the slope shading sort of stands out a little bit. As does the hill shading. So depending on the color you want the contour lines, that brighter orange all the way to completely black, you can set that up. You can set up the slope shading the way you'd like it. So you can pull out the angles, or the hill shading, or make the map no hill shading at all. So I've got a little bit of hill shading, a little darker. You can see all the glaciers are active lines, so you can manipulate them. They're all here in the file. But one thing you'll notice is sort of trails are missing and roots are missing. So if I've set it up so if I click this right here, all the trails start to pop out. And that, as well as the roads down in the trailhead, known as Pont, P-O-N-T, and you can see the roads are in there. Now, because I've imported the layers into CalTopo, what that allows me to do is I can add a line, and if I snap to OSM, you'll start noticing that all the trails are highlighted, which allows me to snap to all the trails as I go along here. But I can also move through the terrain without snapping to the lines. There we go. I have a lot of data going into CalTopo, so the line took a minute to render. And then once the line is in, I can get a profile of that line. And you'll note that as I move the cursor, the dot moves along, and I get the elevation at the cursor, and I get the distance, and at the end, I get over here the gross elevation, gain and loss, And then if I bring the cursor all the way to the end, that's 3.24 miles. And the line ends at 8,477 feet. That can be all changed to metric. The other thing CalTopo allows me to do, and I'm just going to erase that line as a sample, is allows me to print this map the way I see it. So I can create a GeoPDF, and that will pop up here in a minute. And I can also, there's the print dialog, so I can print it at the various sizes, and I can do all the things that you can do with CalTopo to make a GeoPDF. CalTopo also allows me to make a KMZ file, and so I can overlay the map onto Google Earth. And as you can see, it takes a while to render the map, only because I'm using my laptop right now as my server. Eventually I'll have an offsite server, and it should speed things up a little bit. So if we go back to the main, no, it was just about to load, yeah. If we go back to the main map here, and I pull out, you can see it has pretty good detail this way, but as I come in, these are 10-meter contours, and it'll start to clear out here. And that really allows you to see the detail in the terrain. It's taking a minute to clear out, so I'll give it a little bit of time. So what I've created is a digital map that I can import into CalTopo, and then CalTopo allows me to do these various things. My server is very slow, so I apologize for the time that it's taking for it to clear up. But as I do this, there it goes. You can see this corner, how nice and crisp it becomes eventually. And it's this kind of quality that I was working on with the slope shading and the hill shading, so that people can get a better idea of the terrain in this area. And as it is still, in my opinion, relatively crude map, but it's a much better digital map than anything else I've been able to find in that area. So I hope you enjoyed this little review of the mapping that I've been doing, and hopefully, if you're interested in the Gran Paradiso area, this map and these layers will be available, and I'll be able to help you get them into CalTopo at some point once I get a server running. Thank you.